And full screen. Okay, welcome everyone to Fortune Foster's latest presentation, and we're really excited to present not one of our typical investments, but something we're very, very excited for, and it's tiny homes. So to begin, you may have seen some of our more recent investment pitches of Blue Water and Jordan Valley, and most recently Pilgrim's Rest, and tiny homes are a big picture of what we see facilitating these investments. So just in case you're not fully aware of what a tiny home is, here are some example pictures of what they are in various forms throughout various ecosystems. Right now, they can be used, depending on the municipality in Ontario specifically, as a recreational or a primary home asset. And they're really recently even being looked at a bit more urban municipalities as a potential affordability option. As you see Hamilton recently allowing for secondary homes and more commonly known as laneway homes, and it's even graduating to like what are known as granny flats, where it doesn't necessarily need a laneway homes. And Toronto is doing this, Kitchener is doing this, and you're seeing a lot of cities around Canada really starting to get into this. So becoming looked at more as an affordability option. And in three, there is not like a Webster's dictionary definition for tiny homes, but they usually range in between the sizes of 200 to 800,000 or 800 square feet, and kind of has an association of more simplified and flexible living. So I just want to compare it to, I guess, kind of more the traditional asset classes of residential, first being housing values, and I'm going to look at Hamilton since that's their subject market. And if you're from Hamilton or really anywhere in the Southwestern Ontario market, you must know how on fire the residential market has been, and this is very much the case in Hamilton. For the last 2 months, Hamilton has led the country in home price appreciation, right behind Halifax for number one. And then on the right here is the RAB stats, Realtors Association Hamilton Burlington for the month of April. We should get May very, very shortly, if not today. And you can kind of see how it compares year over year. Kind of an asterisk here that the year of last year, April 2020, we're comparing like literally at the very beginning of the pandemic, and there was really a really bottom point for that year. But values stayed the same during that time. It was just the transactions where people were really unsure. So values are still a good comparison. You can kind of see really anywhere in Hamilton how quickly appreciation of home prices have really escalated in between 12 months. And if you joined us again for any of our previous resorts investment presentations, you might have seen this graph, and the subsequent graphs are going to follow how just really on fire 2020 has been for cottage country, and it's continued into 2021. And very recently, RE/MAX came out with this graph on the right. I'm not going to go through everything, but just really stating, especially specifically waterfront properties in a variety of cottage country areas, you're seeing huge appreciations. Just to move this, just in case this is in the way for anyone, it looks at 2019, 2020, 2021, and the differences between that 2-year gap in certain areas. So if you look at Prince Edward County, waterfront property values were an average of $675,000 in 2019. That escalated to $843,000 this year. And then even in Peterborough and the Kawarthas, where Pilgrim's Lake is located, the average of 2019 was $641,000, and it's now surpassed over $1 million for a 70% increase. And there's even some crazier ones, like if you look at Niagara on the Lake with water access, it was $500,000, and now it's at $1.3 million. It's the average with 160% appreciation in 2 years. So it really is case by case, but overall, you're seeing massive amounts of demand for cottage country, and you're seeing the result of that on the prices. Rentals are still very much in demand. It's not this specific article that's referencing, but we've seen provincial parks have seen in Ontario a record demand in 2019. They've seen that broken in 2020, and it's on pace to be broken again in 2021. If you joined us for our Jordan Valley presentation, you might have seen this, that we compared to Shirks and Shores as a nearby resort, and they have a variety of homes themselves of various ages, various sizes, and various qualities. So you can see these are the first two are a little bit older. The first going for just under $160,000, the next going for $220,000, and some of the more recent ones that are newer are going for just under $350,000, and these range between the sizes of 400 to 500 square feet. And you can see some of the rentals that they're getting for them. So some of the older ones they're getting for around $260 a night, and some of the new ones are going for upwards of $350 a night. So just to kind of keep you up to date on what Forge & Foster has been doing for the resort. So if you have these tiny homes, where can you place them? So Forge & Foster has been trying to alleviate that problem. So our first acquisition was Blue Water Village, and this is located on Lake Huron in Goderich, and we're really excited about this. So it has waterfront access, lakefront access. The second one we purchased is Jordan Valley, and this is located subsequently in Jordan off of 20 Mile Creek, and it has Jordan Harbor right there, which leads into Lake Ontario, and it's right in the heart of wine country. And then the third is Pilgrim's Rest, which is located on the historic Stony Lake, which is in the Kawartha Lakes region. As I mentioned, it's in that area that now you're seeing for over $1 million for lakefront property for cottage. And then keep an eye out for this one. We just closed on Summer Place Park, which is more in the middle of Ontario. I've heard it's been described as the middle of nowhere, but the center of everything. So you can really kind of get away from everywhere in Ontario, and it's a bit more secluded, and it's located on the Grand River. And then something that's coming up that we're very, very excited for is located more towards Ottawa and the border of Quebec and Ontario, and it gives you that more Canadiana feel, and that's Reed's Lake. And we have a number of many more in the pipelines, and we're really excited to share the remainder with you once we can. And so this is a picture of each resort that we have. So the first one is Reed's Lake, and then you have next to that to the right, this is Pilgrim's Rest, and then Summer Place, Jordan Valley, and then Blue Water. And you can see they all kind of have their unique aspect, and then the question mark, more to come, and then they have their own unique characteristics as well. So the tiny home. So this is the tiny home that we're going to be talking about. This is our first one that we're pitching today. And if you recognize that building in the background, that is the Forge & Foster office, and we're partnered with True North Tiny Homes, which has created this beautiful tiny home here. And so if you haven't seen it yet, we definitely invite you sometime to contact us to actually come to this tiny home in person, because it's definitely, there's nothing that can replicate an in-person viewing of this tiny home. But just to give you a bit of a picture right now, here's the floor plan of the tiny home. As you can see, it's 28 feet long by 10 feet wide. So in total, it's 280 square feet. As you walk in through the front door here, you enter the kitchen area. So here's the stove and sink right here. This kind of pinkish fill illustrates that there's insulation in the tiny home as well. As you get into the middle area, there's a portion for a living area, and then the Murphy bed is over here. And then right at the opposite end is the washroom, which contains a shower, sink, and toilet, and washer dryer. And then above this washroom area, as we'll see in the photos in the next slide, is a bit of a loft space, which is not included in the 280 square foot total area calculation. So here are some photos of the interior. You can kind of graze through these. As I kind of just mentioned, the kind of highlights of the tiny home, and just to kind of show you that loft area. So this is where the Murphy bed is. There's a ladder that leads you into the loft area, and that's just another area that can be accessed. And it's obviously you can't stand up in it, but you can very comfortably sit in that area and lay down or read a book or whatever you need to do. So typically the tiny home sizes that True North that produces are between 280 and 490 square feet in size. As I mentioned, this one specifically is 280 square feet. This one also sleeps 1 to 4 people. So you have a couple that can sleep in their Murphy bed, and then another couple that can occupy the loft space. Includes stainless steel appliances, shower, washer, dryer, and is powered with propane and electric power. Also includes double 30-pound propane tank hookup, propane fuel tankless water heater, water hookup, and ductless mini split for cooling and potential backup heat if it gets very, very cold. And then some optionals that can be also accommodated, but are going to be extras is a bathtub, solar power, wood stove and fireplace, and off-grid capabilities, and then a compostable toilet. So those are some of the highlights. There's many more attributes to this, and we have a package that we can send out to people in the near future. And here's some photos, and I'm just going to pass it on quickly to Victor, who's going to talk about more of the financial side and the business case with these tiny homes.
Great, awesome. Thank you so much, Alex. So as you can see in my background, I'm actually in the tiny home, the model tiny home that Alex mentioned, and I'm actually the background is the kitchen, as you can see. It's just fantastic. Let me tell you. So whenever you have a chance, do stop by. It looks like a very luxurious condo. You wouldn't think that it's as big as what it is. Once you're here, is quite spacious. But going into some of the financials that we put together to really show how attractive and amazing this investment or this opportunity can be. So the purchase price for this unit is our base unit is going to be $200,000, and this is basically you are receiving it ready for you to just open the tiny home and enjoy it. So it's going to be located at the site, already hooked up and everything. You don't need to do anything else, pretty much. Now what we've done is that we've broken down some of the numbers for us to show you how profitable and lucrative this investment can be. So as part of our research, we noticed that the weekly rate that you can generate per a tiny home, as per our research, is on average about $1,500 per week. And this actually is, and like some of the units that we saw there were smaller than this one. So it wasn't 280 square foot, it was actually 200 square feet. So what we've done is that we've taken a little bit of a conservative approach and say, okay, you know what, let's see how the numbers look, saying, you know what can we do if we rent it for $1,250 per week? Also, what we've modeled is that we've modeled only 26 weeks a year being rented, just because some of our parks are seasonal, so they don't go for the full extent of the year. But some of our parks do have full season, so this is just taking a conservative approach and assuming that we'll be able to rent it for 26 weeks. So basically, 1,250 times 26 gives us a potential rental revenue per tiny home of $32,500. And basically, what we've done is that we've analyze the expenses that you're going to be incurring, which is going to be the land lease. So where you place the lot at one of our parks, it'll cost you $6,000 per year. And the operating expenses will be $3,200 approximately. And basically that gives you a net operating income per year of $23,300, which is amazing, right? If you divide that by 12 months, it gives you approximately $2,000 per month. And a condominium of one-bedroom condo or a two-bedroom condo, sometimes it doesn't even give you those rates per year. So it's quite substantial. That basically gives us a cap rate based on that purchase price of 11.7%. So just huge, a tremendous value here. And if we move on to the next slide, I want to show you how this basically shows against other cap rates within the national average cap rate. So if you see the multifamily asset class is producing 4.3% cap rate, which basically means that the tiny home is producing 3 times that compared to the industrial and retail that is giving approximately 6% cap rate. The tiny home is basically producing double that. So great time to come in this type of asset class, because as you can see, it has not been as compressed as the other asset classes. So moving on to the next slide, one thing that makes these type of tiny homes extremely attractive is that you can borrow up to 80% loan to value, which basically means you can get a mortgage of 80% of the value of the property, and you can put a down payment of about $40,000 or 20%. So that'll be your investment. And what we've done is that we have reached out to different financial institutions to try to understand what are the type of rates that you can receive. And it ranges between 3% and 4.25% as of now. And based on a 20-year amortization, what that is giving us is that your cash flows after debt payments, so after debt obligations, per year will be $11,500, as you can see there in the number at the bottom. And basically what that gives us is that based on a $40,000 investment or down payment, you'll get your payback period on your down payment is 3.5 years. So extremely fast, extremely quick. And your cash on cash return, or your return on your investment based on that $40,000 is 28.6%, so close to 30%. And let me tell you, when I used to do stock trading quite heavily, and I spent a lot of time on that, I wasn't generating these type of returns on my investment on a consistent basis. So the fact that you can do this quite passively is extremely attractive. So moving on to the next slide. Here, I just wanted to show you the 5-year cumulative cash flows after debt payment. So basically, after paying your mortgage, paying the land lease, paying expenses, as you recall, I said that we're approximating that you'll be able to generate 11,500. So if we basically project this in 5 years, that means that you'll be generating approximately $57,245. Now, one thing that I want you to keep in mind is that we're not really calculating any resale value, because if you have it in the right location, the resale value can be greater than 200,000. So all of these returns on the investments are not calculating that resale values purely on a cash flow basis. And here on the chart, you can see that the columns that are highlighted in white is basically representing the amount of time that it will take you for you to receive your $40,000 back. And then anything above that is going to just continue to be additional cash. But if you were to basically resell your unit, and let's just say that worst comes to worst, you receive your same $200,000, then your return on your investment is even greater, because you've received your initial investment plus the additional cash flow that you've generated all these 5 years. Now, I've displayed it a lot. We've displayed it a lot as an investment, but I want to also mention that you can use it as a cottage, right? You can use it as your space that you're living in it, or you can use it as a pure investment. And it's still very attractive, given that the operating expenses and the expenses to really own one and run it, or to invest it, is much better than any other residential. So quite flexible and extremely attractive as an asset class. But that being said, I'll pass it to Joe. He'll be talking a little bit more about the tiny homes. Thank you.
Thank you, Victor. Thank you, Alex. I think we're at the start of a very exciting decade. I think both the tiny home, tiny cottage, and recreational property has a lot of trends going for it right now, which is really going to change the way the world looks. I just want to go through a few of those trends and just kind of see, hey, how has the world changed from 2015 to perhaps how it's going to look in 2025? So first off, we got flexible work. Many big employers saying that 2 days a week you can be working from home, or as I like to say, working from anywhere. And where are you going to be choosing to work? Why not on the waterfront? Or can you just work not from an office at all and work where you want? Electric cars are coming in. That means that half of your cost per kilometer, so driving to these locations, is going to become much more affordable. Solar panels are becoming interesting in 2025. You're only going to need between 200 and 400 square feet of solar panels to actually charge one of these tiny homes, and those features are becoming more and more available. As we saw today, the next generation of tiny cottages, RVs, they're not like our parents' RVs. If you walk into one of them, like Victor is mentioning, the height of these units are 10, 11, 12, 13 feet high, where the previous RVs were like 6, 7, 8. So it creates a whole different experience. You must go inside. This is next generation. The other thing that's really cool, I'm really excited about, is electric boats. I think that we're going to get into the situation where we're probably going to, in the next 5 years, be able to say that we're only going to allow electric boats at our resorts, which I think is going to create a way better experience. Those of you who have a gas boat, getting gas, the repairs on the boat, everything's a nightmare compared to electric boats. Really excited about that. Satellite internet's another thing that's coming in, which is really important. You're going to be able to use internet from anywhere, which is just existing this year. even the extra 4 to 8 weeks every single year that we're getting. Mays are becoming more reliable, and September's as well, for warm weather to enjoy these resorts. Your alternative for what's the alternative from a tiny cottage point of view? Muskoka is out of reach. We're looking at this being 1/7 of the cost. So now that only the 1% can afford these $1.4 million cottages that Alex is pointing out, this is going to become a way more attractive way. And that's why we've seen weekly rentals, which is a key part of this venture, pretty much double in the past 5 to 7 years, just because everyone wants to get a piece of recreational property, and doing it on a weekly basis for 2 to 8 people is very affordable, based on the rents that we've quoted today. And then all the small towns, improved roads, are really impacting. You know, you're always close to a Walmart or a Costco. The highways have gotten a lot better in a lot of these areas that Alex pointed out. It's a really comfortable drive to get there. And we're doing this for, you know, a fraction of what it costs, and getting the same size lot as you get in a city lot in Toronto. So it's really interesting, the trends. I'm excited for 2025, because it's going to make a big difference going on here. And yes, it's a new asset class. And yes, you know, we're working with beautiful resorts. But the key thing here with investing with us here is that we're locking down some of the best waterfront properties, some of the best resorts in Ontario, which is a great vacation place to spend your time with. And you know, for a very minimal investments, we think that we're creating a bit of an emerging asset class here. And we'd love for you to be involved on the investment side. It makes a lot of sense. And as Victor pointed out, it could also make a lot of sense for you just in your personal life to have a place to go away. So do consider this investment. Thank you everyone for your time. Really excited about this decade coming up in recreational property and tiny resorts and tiny homes, and hope you'll join us. Thank you.